back to the Paint Couture YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of these amazing tutorials. I'm Erin of the Fox's Den, and this week I'm going to show you how to get this bleached wood effect using just 3 Paint Couture products. So let's get into it. I'm redoing these kitchen chairs. I will have 4 of them to do, but we're just covering 1. You can see we have a lot of splotchy finish. A lot of finish is worn off in several places. The very first thing we need to do is to give these a good clean. I'm using Paint Couture's Fresh Start. This product is going to remove any dirts, oils, grime that is on these chairs. I'm using 2 cups of warm water and 2 tablespoons of Fresh Start. Because I'm using a teaspoon scoop, obviously it's going to be 3 teaspoons to make a tablespoon. So then I'm going to mix it thoroughly together. Make sure it's nice and dissolved. Once that's all dissolved, I'm going to come into these chairs with a cloth and I'm going to start scrubbing. There will be parts where if the dirt and grime is a little thicker, you can use a green sponge or something a little more coarse, and I'll be doing that in just a bit. But for these basic parts, I'm just going to clean them with the washcloth. You can see how dirty the water's getting. I will change this out and use some cleaner water, but a lot is getting removed from these chairs. So on this little part where there's quite a bit of buildup, you can see I'm coming in with that green scrubby, using the Fresh Start and really scrubbing at that, using some elbow grease to remove that. You want to remove any of these dirts and oils so that your paint can properly adhere. So once I'm done cleaning them, I did take them outside and rinse them with my garden hose. You can also spray them with water or wipe them down. I just like to be really thorough and a little faster by spraying it with my hose. So because the finish is so uneven on these chairs, I did have to do some sanding. If you're doing this technique on a piece where the finish is more intact, you can skip this part. You don't have to sand down to raw wood, but there were so many spots where there was raw wood and then there was still finish left on it. You could complete this process right over top an existing finish and just give it like a light scuff sand. But for me, we're gonna have to remove it. It would be way too splotchy to get this look on top of the old stain. So I am using my sander to get these spindles and things as much as I can. I'm fine with leaving a little bit of dark in the groove of the spindles. It's going to give it a little bit more of a natural wear and tear look. If there's still some darkness left over in the creases of those spindles. So now I'm coming in with a piece of 80 grit sandpaper. I'm using that to just get a little bit extra where my sander couldn't reach. And now it's time to mix our paint. I'm using the color Peace. I am going to be doing this in a 4:1 ratio. So I'm giving the paint a really good stir. And then I'm going to use these little plastic cups to measure. You can use whatever to measure. So I did 1 part to 4 parts water, and I'm just going to use the same cup. I went a little heavy on some of the first pours, so I went a little lighter on the last pour. And there we go. There is our 4:1 mixture. Give it a really good stir. I mix so much because I am doing 4 chairs. Once we get to this point, we are ready to apply. So I will take the paint, apply it with a brush, and it is very watery. So you're just putting it on. It's gonna work almost like a stain. Once that paint is applied, you're gonna wipe it back with a paper towel or a shop rag. You don't want it to be heavy. You wanna have just a little bit left behind. So here we're applying the paint, and you can see it's still dark in some of those creases, but as we wipe back, and I want, for me, for these in particular, I still want some of that stain in those grooves. These are my personal chairs, and I really want them to look worn, like the finish has just peeled off after years and years. So same process here, just wiping on the paint and water mixture with my brush. Applying it nice and smooth, and then coming back with a paper towel and wiping it back. And it just gives it this really soft appearance. The Peace is a perfect color for this because it really makes it look bleached. This is the best color for this, in my opinion. It's my favorite one to use when I'm doing a bleached wood look. If you wanted it a little warmer, you could also use the color Grounded. It is going to make it a little more tan and less creamy, however. So you can think of this almost like a paint wash in order to get that bleached wood effect. This looks great on tops of dressers, tabletops. I'll be also redoing my kitchen table in this same color so that everything blends well together. And wipe it back, and look how you can still see the wood grain. You can see a little bit of the textures and stuff in the wood still peeking through. Now for the chair back, same process. Brush it on and just wipe it back. And if after you wipe it back, it is not enough of the wash, you can come in with your brush and lightly brush on a little more paint. I did do that with this. It gives a little bit more of the effect I'm going for. So if after you wipe back and it's not light enough, don't worry. You can just go back and apply a little bit more paint. So I'm just getting these spindles, and see here, just apply a little bit more, and that's going to make it a little richer. And there's the back. Same thing on the very back of the chair, making sure to get into the little handle hole. And you can see this paint mixture is pretty watery, and that's how we want it. We don't want it super thick. We want it to be nice and thin so that we can really see all that wood popping through. So once that's done, you let it dry and it's time to top coat. So because I want these to look worn and old, I am not using a top coat with a sheen. Luckily, Paint Couture has their Extreme Guard top coat in flat. So using the flat top coat, it is water resistant. It's going to protect them. It's going to keep the wood and the work that we've done safe, but it's going to have that flat finish. There won't be a sheen, and it's going to look a lot more natural this way. So make sure when you're doing your top coats, you're really careful to avoid any drips. You don't want it to collect too much in any ridges. You want to do nice long strokes to even it out. I'll apply it, and then I go back with my brush and just very lightly feather it over in long strokes back and forth to make sure I don't have any crazy brush marks. It's just like that, nice and smooth, just to smooth it out. Make it nice and even. Same thing on the spindles. Make sure you're not letting any of your top coat pool and collect. Get along those little grooves. I like to do a round method after I apply it up and down. I'll come back and kind of go back and forth across all of those little grooves vertically, just to make sure that the top coat isn't collecting in a goopy way. Now we're getting in the seat. Now my seat, you can see you can still see a bit of darkness in there. If you wanted to, for your piece and you were doing raw wood, you could sand that all the way out and just make it right on top of raw wood. I really like the effect that it had for my chairs and how it just looks like it's been worn down. So that's the look I was going for. I'm going to get these edges, make them nice and smooth, protect them. I have kids and pets, so we want to make sure that they're safe. Another really nice thing about this process is if I decide to restain these at some point, it's going to be super easy to do. I'll be able to give them a light sand, and I can apply a gel stain, and boom, my oak chairs are back to a different kind of stain. And there it is. That is our bleached wood effect. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope that you've learned something. If you try this process, go ahead and shout out to Paint Couture and let them know you tried. But thanks for watching, and make sure you like and subscribe.